Welcome to the 76 Capital Leadership Series. We are live tonight with a really exciting show. My name is Wayne Kimmel, managing partner of 76 Capital and also the host of the 76 Capital Leadership Series. And we're really excited about what we're going to be doing tonight. You know, normally we have James at the controls, and yes, James is at the controls, but he's also one of our guests tonight on the show. So excited to talk about all the things that he has in store for us as well, and we'll talk about that in a second here. As we get started, as many of you know, 76 Capital, we're a venture capital fund that looks to invest in entrepreneurs that are passionate, that are smart, that are nice, and want to change the world. And that's one of the things we're going to be talking about tonight, trying to change the world and make the world a better place for athletes, for students, for young people who want to do big things in the world. We're going to be talking about those issues in and around the NCAA and kind of the problems that COVID has caused with some NCAA programs in and around the country, as well as here at home here in Philadelphia, as to what's happening at La Salle University. You can follow us on 76 Capital on all the different networks, whether it's LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, our YouTube channel. Please reach out to us if you have an idea, if you have a company that you want to pitch, if you're an entrepreneur who wants to do the next thing in sports or in esports or in sports betting. Reach out to us, talk with us. We want to hear from you. We want to talk with you, and we want to meet these entrepreneurs who are truly doing the next thing. So today, as you heard, we have a really special show. This show is also going to be available via podcast. Our 76 Capital Leadership podcast is really picking up steam. We have a ton of subscribers now. Please go and subscribe on your favorite podcast, whether that's on Spotify. You can find all the different ones on Anchor as well as on Apple as well. So please subscribe to our 76 Capital Leadership Series. You'll hear from athletes, entrepreneurs, leaders in sports, just like you're going to hear tonight on our show. Super excited to have you on our show. So with that being said, let's get down to it. So who do we have on the show tonight? We have, as I said before, my chief of staff and producer of the show. We have James Santore, who is the also an alum of La Salle University, and you will hear why that is so important in a second. Our other special guest tonight is Courtney Altemus. Courtney is the CEO of TeamAltemus, and you can find her on Instagram at Courtney.Altemus, as well as on Twitter at TeamAltemus. And Courtney is also a La Salle alum, and we will hear about her feelings about all the things that are going on at La Salle, as well as the special part of the world that Courtney operates in and around being someone who works with sports teams, universities, and advises them from a financial perspective, as well as the athletes themselves, and is really involved with this whole NIL situation, which is happening in the college industry, which is the name, image, and likeness side of things that are going on within the college ranks. So without any further ado, let's bring on James and Courtney. Welcome to the show.
Thanks, Wayne.
Thanks, Wayne.
Oh man, James, you have double things to do. You're going to be running the show from behind the scenes and one of our special guests. So it's really exciting to have you on the show tonight, James.
Thank you. I really appreciate you guys letting me come on here and kind of share what we're doing about Save La Salle Baseball. And Courtney, thank you for all your help behind the scenes and for doing this as well. So really excited to be here, and thank you for everybody watching and that's supported our cause thus far.
Yeah, well, you know what? I think, Courtney, I'd love to start with you, and I'd love to, share with our 76 Capital Leadership Series audience, both tonight live as well as on our podcast. Tell me a little bit about what you do with TeamAltemus, what it's all about, and how you work within the college ranks.
Sure. So at TeamAltemus, we help athletes vet financial advisors, evaluate existing financial advisors, and perform ongoing monitoring of financial advisors. That's how we started. We were basically consulting in professional sports. We got so much feedback when we started consulting that these athletes wish they had had the education sooner in school that we decided to move into the collegiate space and educate. So we educate primarily in basic financial literacy for all student athletes, and until name, image, and likeness, financial advisor due diligence for elite athletes who were likely to go to a draft process or the Olympics. And now with the onset of name, image, and likeness, obviously every athlete needs the training around not just financial advisor due diligence, but how to choose agents and how to look at deals. And so we've been actively involved in creating solutions for schools to offer to their student athletes, and also programs for the student athletes.
What's so fascinating about what you just talked about, Courtney, is all these years, so many people talk about athletes and if they should get paid, should they not get paid? And now there's this opportunity. Can you get a job? Can you work while you're a collegiate athlete? But now there are these laws that are being passed in different states all across the country with around some of the biggest universities and biggest sports programs. Now there's this opportunity for student athletes to actually get paid for their name and their image and their likeness. It's not that you just wouldn't, they can't, the university that would sell the jersey of that football player, now that athlete themselves can actually make money on their own name, image, and likeness.
Absolutely. It's a seismic shift. And I think it's pretty remarkable. I remember moderating a panel at your amazing conference last year, and I think it was beginning of November, and it was a week after the NCAA had made this announcement that they were going to support a shift and support the compensation for student athletes for name, image, and likeness. And it was just such a huge game changer. And, I think that the NCAA, it took so long to get there. And we all thought it was going to take a lot longer to get to the point where athletes could actually participate. But the state of Florida is one of the states that has passed the law that their college athletes can be compensated for the name, image, and likeness. And their law goes into effect July 1st of 2021. So it has forced the NCAA to continue the process and make sure they're rolling out the regulations in January so athletes can start participating August of 2021, because they don't want 50 different sets of regulations and have different states with recruiting advantages over other states. So it's been fast and furious, and now it's even before COVID hit. So it's been a really tough time and a fascinating time in college sports.
Well, I definitely want to get into it a little bit more and talk about what's really happening. You actually know, and you're on the ground with the different athletic directors and administrators and NCAA, and know really everything that's happening within this whole NIL world. So we want to get back to that in a second, but I want to bring James in for a second. And, James, I think this is really exciting to have you on the show, but also to have you on the show to talk about something that I know that you're incredibly passionate about. You were a student athlete at La Salle. You played baseball, and I'd love for you to tell our audience as to what's going on at La Salle with the whole sports and athletics program, and some of the things that you're doing as well.
Sure, and thank you again for giving me this platform, and I really appreciate it. And last week we found out that baseball and 6 other sports are getting cut from La Salle, and unfortunately, it's kind of the way things are right now, where especially private universities and college sports in general are struggling from the financial side of things. So it was a shock to us. It was something we had maybe thought about in passing over the past few years, just seeing how the current economic climate is. But until it actually happens, you're not really sure how to feel. So as soon as we heard the news, we were obviously devastated. But we knew that La Salle meant too much to us to just kind of sit back and not do anything about that. So right away, we set up a town hall with all the alumni, all the parents, all the players to kind of, think about ideas of ways we can try to help save this program. And, I'm so thankful for everybody that's really helped out with that, because the amount of people that we've had to step up and really try to put all this time and effort into it has been amazing. And everybody's played a part in making this successful. Sorry for the sirens there. Makes me feel like I'm back at La Salle, actually. But yeah, so it's been a wild week, and really our way of kind of going about this, and a lot of credit to my roommate Joe Ravert, whose jersey is behind me there, and Kevin McGowan, who kind of make up our Save La Salle Baseball board. But our plan has really been to use social media as a way of gaining publicity and getting people to care about this cause and care about La Salle, especially care about La Salle baseball, and then utilizing that that publicity to really get some business opportunities to bring back to the school. So, I'm sure a lot of people have seen the different Barstool tweets and interactions with Dave Portnoy, and that's been amazing. And it's been great for people to actually know what LaSalle is, know what LaSalle baseball is, know our passion. But we're taking that to the next level, and that is really trying to find out the best way to make not only LaSalle baseball better, all the other programs that were cut better, and also help the school for the long run. So we have a lot going on behind the scenes. It's been really exciting. I've learned a lot this past week. I haven't slept more than like 2 hours in a week, but it's so worth it, and I would do it all over again. And I think that in the long run, it'll be worth it. And again, we couldn't do any of this without the support of everybody that's really helped out. And it's only the beginning. So some exciting stuff happening tomorrow. I can't really share too much, but
well, before we get to that, James, I mean, I think one of the things that we want to talk about here on our 76 Capital Leadership Series is, again, it's so great to have, James Santore, Chief of Staff of 76 Capital, as well as leading the charge to really help not only just the baseball program to come back at LaSalle, but a number of the programs that unfortunately were cut. And, as an alum there, and also Courtney Altemus, the CEO of TeamAltemus. Great to have two LaSalle alums on the show to talk about these issues and these types of things, because I think Courtney will have an interesting view of sort of what's going on in universities all across the country that we can talk about. And certainly we'll go back to a little bit more about what you're doing, James, because I think, you mentioned something that I got to talk about. So you mentioned about Barstool, and you mentioned about, being able to do something with Dave Portnoy. How did this all happen? So, the LaSalle puts out this letter that the Board of Trustees is going to cut a number of sports teams because of a budget crisis or something like that. You then said, wait a second, I'm not just going to sit back and let this happen. You and your roommates and friends of yours and, the guy who you have his jersey behind you, you guys said, listen, we're going to make something happen here. And You've gone out and done that. But somehow Barstool got involved in this. Tell me how that happened.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's, as Wayne, as you know very, very well, I'm a huge Barstool fan. And honestly, it's one of the reasons that, I'm here right now working for you. And Barstool kind of made me think about sports in a different way that I never really thought of before. So when I used to work in corporate finance, that was kind of my release in a cubicle, was to listen to Barstool podcasts and kind of not only learn about what's going on in the day-to-day sports, but also just be able to have fun and listen to that and laugh. So as my fandom of Barstool has progressed, and obviously the growth of sports betting, Barstool just opened up Barstool Sportsbook in Pennsylvania. So their home base for Barstool Sportsbooks in Philadelphia. So given the demographic of Barstool's consumers, given my and all my friends' love of Barstool, and given the fact that Barstool is now in Philly and Dave Portnoy is as he proclaims, the king of Philadelphia, we thought it was a good opportunity to kind of reach out and say, hey, this is your chance to make an impact in Philly right away.
So James, what did you do? How did you meet this guy?
So social media is a weird place. You put out one tweet. I told him that we'd name the field after him. More joking than anything, but look, he loves that type of stuff. We thought it was fun. It was funny, but it's also a way for us to really get our name out there, and that this was happening, and that, we're not just going to sit back and not try to save LaSalle baseball. So
wait, you tweeted this, you said you'll name the stadium after him. Yeah. And then he responded.
Yeah. So that was one of the most, we were actually on a call together, Wayne. So you saw my face when I saw that tweet. It was one of the most, the biggest rushes I've had in a long time. And to see that, and then to see the amount of retweets that happened on his tweet in a matter of seconds, he said, what do I have to do when he about saving LaSalle baseball? So,
well, that's all someone needs to tell you. What do I have to do? And then you just went to work, right?
Yeah. So it was a very interesting few hours after that. But we got in touch with him, and we kind of laid out a plan for him. We want to do, obviously, the publicity side. There's a lot of other business type of opportunities we want to do, but it really starts with just, him being associated with LaSalle baseball now. Whether honestly he wants to or not, he sent that tweet, so now he is. But there's some more stuff that we're going to be doing with Barstool, and we're really grateful for all of their help, and Barstool Philly specifically, and a few other Barstool members that have really reshared a lot of our stuff. But again, Barstool is not going to save LaSalle on their own, but what they're doing to help us get the word out there is what's going to help save it from behind the scenes, as we've gotten a lot of opportunities as a result of the publicity.
I think it's really tremendous. And Courtney, it's interesting. I mean, thinking about what James just did, right? As taking kind of the passion, the love that you have for your university as an alum, and being able to transfer that and be able to help this next generation of young people is a lot of the things that we talk about that you do at TeamAltemus. And love to hear more about that, and just also how, just what a different world we live in today. And just by a tweet, right? How this all of a sudden has sparked this movement. That's something that you'll start to see with athletes today, where they're going to be able to send out a tweet about anything and actually get compensated for that.
Absolutely. I think it's so fascinating on so many different levels, whether it be the passion of an alumnus, the passion of an alumnus who was an athlete, social media, where we're going in the world. I think it's amazing. And one of the things I love the most, I have to say, is that, James, what you have done is not just rally the troops for the sake of venting or opposing the decision. In such a short period of time, you've been productive. And I don't know everything about the plan or exactly what you're trying to execute, but I do know that you have a plan. And you're working on business opportunities, and you're working on what sounds to me from the outside like something that's actually going to support the school, which, I mean, what leader of a university and or chair of the board of trustees does not want solutions? And, they're so used to taking these calls of, complaining and venting and anger. And I think, you've done a remarkable job, and your generation gets such a bad rap for being entitled, for not taking the initiative, or just complaining and not doing anything. So I'm really, really psyched for you that you've done this as an alum. I'm incredibly proud of you, and
appreciate that.
Of course. And La Salle is one of those places where I preach this all the time, but my career path should have never been what it was after going to La Salle, and not just undergrad, but for my business degree as well. And the reason that I was able to have doors opened and opportunities presented was because of my La Salle connection. So it's a very special place. You get a fantastic education, but it is whether through sports or just the network of the school, that we're all passionate about it. So, and I thought it was interesting when I was looking kind of across the landscape of schools. It's certainly not the Power Five. None of them have cut any sports yet, but the Group of Five. So, these other Division I programs that are really struggling. So many of those schools get most of their funding, over 60% of their funding, from states and institutional funding. And so you have 20% less enrollment, 30% less enrollment. It's a direct cut everywhere. And so, one of the stories I love was University of Akron, Clayton Murphy, I think it was, who was your year, 2016. And he was the first American to win the 800 meters at the Olympics since 1992. He won in 2016. And less than 4 years later, they're cutting cross country. So he too has taken this incredible productive stance to try to engage and say, what do we need to do? So I think, to answer your question, Wayne, I think on one level, what I love is seeing this whole generation of passionate people understanding that, whether it be because of social media or the emphasis on entrepreneurship or a combination of all those things, they're coming forward with solutions, which I think is huge. And I think it's going to help sustain these programs over the long haul. I also love to see the passion about your alma mater. One of the things that we always talk to schools about is, if you are giving these student athletes the right tools, the right education, they're going to do a better job with their money long-term, and they're going to be more connected, and they're going to be more likely to come back and give back. So, I think it's really hard. A lot of institutions struggle, and some of the most dominating programs in football and men's basketball struggle getting those athletes to come and give back after they've made so much money, but they've sort of lost that connection piece. And so much of what that's about is, at the smaller schools, you're building together. You're not taking the drip walk and getting on the private jet. You're figuring it out. It takes a lot of grit and resilience. So I think that, it's such a hard time, and we're seeing so much pain. So, the NCAA always wants us to talk about the role of college athletics in higher education, and not just, whatever 2 or 3 sentences we have in our mission statement, but what does that really mean? And right now we're at risk of losing a big part of that. We're at risk of losing a big part of that because student athletes are losing their identities, because they're losing their seasons. They're losing what was their team unity. They're disconnected. They're losing their sports. There's no known path back. So I think that, we're really at a great inflection point. We have a tremendous opportunity here to re-engage and reinforce what college athletics adds to the overall higher education experience, and not just for the athletes, but the school, all of the non-athletes who rally around these teams and take pride in their school. So I think we need more proactive solutions, more groups like you have formed, more gentlemen like Clayton from Akron, to be saying, all right, we want other generations. It's that passion. We want other generations to experience what we experience. So we're going to help with a solution here. I think it's going to be an incredible, I can't get away from the word correction because of my background. We always talk about market corrections. I think right now we're in one of the best corrections in higher education, and it's impacting athletics dramatically. But I do believe that it's going to pave the way for just incredible opportunity for so many student athletes for years to come. It's a painful process right now, for sure.
Absolutely. And Courtney, you're right on with all of that. And I think, one of the things that James is doing in his, with what you're trying to do at La Salle now, to not only save baseball, but save all the programs and really help the athletic department and help the university. Maybe it'll be a good time, James, to really share with the audience now, what is the plan? What are you looking to go do? And how do you think you're going to go about doing it right now?
Sure. Yeah, and just want to touch on one point based on what Courtney said. And I think the word of identity is really important, because as you see behind me, that's a La Salle baseball jersey on the wall. My other roommate has his lacrosse jersey in the middle. My jersey's on the bottom. Our identity is what the sport we played in, the team we played for, and the school. And that means the world to us. So when you get that taken away, you find out that it's going to get taken away. It's a tough thing to deal with, and you don't really know how to deal with it. And I'm an alumni. I'm thinking about the players that are still there right now, all their parents that I've been speaking to that are trying to figure out what the heck they're supposed to do now. And they're losing their identity in a time of a global pandemic when things are already more difficult than they've ever been. So, for me, it's obviously I want to keep this program alive because I'm very proud of it. I'm very proud to be an Explorer. I learned so much as my time as an Explorer, and it definitely, my performance on the field was not what was keeping me around at La Salle. Was what I was able to do off the field and learn in the classroom. But we need to keep this program alive for those players. And the way that we're trying to do that, and by the way, it's not just the baseball players. It really is the greater La Salle athletics community and the greater La Salle community as a whole. We want to make La Salle a better place for the future. We want to help bring money in. We want to help generate revenue. We want to help make this program and this school last a long time, and not just last, but be a power in the Northeast, which we think is very feasible. So we're actively talking to different business owners, private equity firms, anybody we can talk to that wants to help this cause and get creative and bring these opportunities to La Salle. So we are building a formal business plan to bring to the school. We're not just trying to generate, to do the GoFundMe. We're not just trying to raise money. We're trying to go to them and say, hey, we want to help. We want to build the future of La Salle right now, turn this negative PR, this negative press going on around this into a positive and make everybody look better as a result of it. And I think the fact that, it's alumni leading the charge and showing the passion that we exhibit for this program and for this school, it's a great story. And I hopefully, one day there's a movie made about it after we're celebrating a national championship or the College World Series, whatever it may be. But right now we're just working really hard to make sure that when we do get that opportunity to talk to the school, that they're going to want to listen and they're going to want to work with us. And we're really excited by that opportunity. And again, it's been really fun to get to work with all my friends, teammates, alumni that I've never even met before. and really just come together as a community and make this happen.
Well, I think it's really incredible what you're doing, James, and I got to applaud you. And this is great to have you and Courtney on the 76 Capital Leadership Series, two La Salle alums, both so connected with everything that we do at 76 Capital, and also really just so bought in and so all about trying to make this world a better place. And that's what this whole series is all about. You are truly showing leadership, James. You certainly definitely learned a lot at La Salle, and they should be really, really proud of you. And I think, one of the things this is interesting, and, it's right in Courtney's wheelhouse, and sort of what she talks about, this idea of really, allowing and providing financial guidance and literacy for the student athletes. Obviously, James, you learned it from somewhere, whether it was at La Salle, your great parents, or whoever it was. You certainly, are doing the right thing. But in many cases, this is something that, Courtney, you go on to these campuses all over the country and try to and help people. Talk a little bit about that and sort of how important that is.
Sure. I think, coming from a background of being a financial advisor and ultimately coming to the conclusion that the only way I was really going to be able to help more people was going to be when I released my licenses and stopped selling investment product. And that was a big, risky leap, but it was that important to me. I saw the need. I saw the deep, deep need. And I saw that the cycle wasn't going to get broken if somebody didn't decide to stop and redirect expertise. And, the need that I identified has been validated over and over and over again. And certainly we always say we're trying to, change the story from negative to positive, all stories positive with athletes and money. And what we see is there's not a high correlation between level of education and financial literacy. It really does, going back to your point, Wayne, really does go back to what was being role modeled for the student athlete as they grew up. And it really has nothing to do with socioeconomic stance or culture. It's very specific to the families. And so much so that we work with a lot of professional athletes when they're making the transition from undergrad to rookie. They have incredible degrees from these amazing institutions, economics and finance, and they don't know how to apply it to their personal situation. So a lot of what we focus on is relatability. They sit in classrooms all day. They look at game film all the time. They're just watching, they're listening. They need somebody to meet them where they are and demonstrate how to go forward and establish good habits. And with athletes, a lot of it is so analogous. They have to establish great daily habits to be elite athletes. So it's no different than that. It's just habits in and around money. And as my partner, Rashad Campbell, always likes to say, money isn't going away. It's going to be with us all our entire lives. And even after we're gone, our families are going to be talking about it. So we need to teach them, but not just teach from a lecturing standpoint, but connect with them. And we are seeing some incredible progress. They're competitors. Once they understand what they need to be doing, they start competing with themselves. They look at their savings account balance and they want to exceed their goals every week, and they get excited about it. We see, currently we see in big football programs where there's, 80% of the athletes are on full scholarship and getting full cost of attendance. Some of them are eligible for Pell Grants. They don't know how to budget their money. And it's not for lack of the schools trying to help. It's just the same voices, and the same voices sort of going down the list of what you should or shouldn't do. And we've got football players who are ineligible to play because they have so many parking tickets they haven't paid that they're not able to register for classes. We have student athletes getting evicted because they didn't know they had to have first and last month's rent and rent for the next month when they move into an apartment, and they're getting kicked out. So there's all these consequences around the lack of education. And again, not for lack of trying on the school's point, but lack of the methodology and the ability to connect with these student athletes. And so we see that now, and it's why we've been so in front of name, image, and likeness, because it actually scares me to death that we're going to go from this tiny percentage of the population that is making, in some cases, 22 grand tax-free a year to now across the landscape of 450,000 student athletes who are all going to be able to do this. How are they possibly going to know any different from these Power 5 football programs who are really well taken care of? I mean, they don't really have a lot of responsibilities. They have 2 full-time jobs, but there's somebody doing their laundry, their meals are taken care of, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So we are seeing a huge need, but we're also seeing schools and conferences that are really interested in getting the tools to their student athletes, which is great news.
Because what you're talking about, Courtney, with this name, image, and likeness situation is you have a college athlete who is also going to school, mm-hmm. and they're also a full-time athlete, mm-hmm. right? I mean, James has talked to me about what it's like playing baseball and how, you know, their only downtime was to play video games, which is why he's such one of our leaders at 76 Capital around esports, because his downtime was video games, but he didn't have time to really do other things. But now, as a student athlete, you're now able to go and actually work and do endorsement deals and do sponsorship deals just like a professional athlete that doesn't have to go to school at the same time. So it's like having 3 jobs instead of just 2. Right. And you're talking about someone who's probably between the ages of 17 and 23-ish, right? And those in that range. Yeah. And you're not a professional athlete yet. You're not making millions of dollars, and you're not, you're just not older and more mature. You're younger. In some cases, if you're 17, you're not even legal to even sign a contract. But you're, I mean, I don't know how you're going to work that, how that's going to all work out. But I mean, these are incredible things right now that you're putting sort of on the shoulders of not only just the top, maybe the top quarterback or the top pitcher or the top, basketball player at one of the schools. It could be anybody. It could be a gymnast. It could be the field hockey player. It could be one of the softball players. It could be whatever it is. If they want to go out and work and use their name, image, and likeness to promote a brand, they can do that. A brand, a pizza shop, James. And why do I talk about pizza shops? I'm not sure, but we'll talk about that in a second. But I mean, does that have something to do with Portnoy? I have no. He likes pizza, right?
I'm gonna stay quiet.
But he does do the pizza tests, right? I mean, I saw the other day he was in Philly. He did one at Pietro's, which is right on Walnut Street, which was a good one. Gave it a good
interview,
good review. So, so Courtney. But yes, I mean, these are issues that we've never seen before.
Right. No, we were on the phone. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I'm saying issues and opportunities at the same time.
Yeah. We were on the phone with an FBS program, a pretty significant FBS program last week, and helping them, because another thing we do is help the administrations learn what they need. Regardless of what the regulations look like, there is absolutely, we have a model that we believe is going to work. And what we do is help schools define what they need and figure out what resources they have on campus that they can leverage, repurpose, in this time of budget cuts, trying hard to work with them to help them find resources they already have, and also define what they need to go outside to look for. So a lot of these schools are really starting to panic, and they have NIL coordinators and councils, and they're having all these meetings, but they sort of don't know what they don't know. And the head of compliance at the school brought up to me, he said, I just realized the other day how massive this is going to be. He said, because one of the softball student athletes came to me, and he was very cautious how he said this. He said, I think I'm allowed to say this because she said it. But essentially, she's very attractive, and she's being approached for endorsement deals. And here's this FBS program, and their school is really known for football. And all of a sudden, it hit him like a ton of bricks that there's so much going on away from what everybody's been focused on, that they need to do something and do something quickly so that it can be successful. Because like you said, Wayne, the opportunities, they're amazing. But we got to do it right.
Well, that's why TeamAltemus is out there, and that's why you're working with the Alabamas and Georgias and all the big, the big FBS schools, and hopefully going to do more work at La Salle and all the Philly schools. And it's great to have you on the show and hear about all the great things that you're doing for student athletes. And James, kind of as we start to wrap things up on our 76 Capital Leadership Series, I know that we want to. I'd love for you to share kind of some of the next steps, some of the things that we should keep an eye out for, how we can learn more about the effort that you and your guys are putting together. I'd love for you to share that with everybody.
Yeah, no, thank you. So next steps really. So some exciting stuff going on the rest of this week. Like I said, I can't divulge too much information, but especially the next 2 days, very exciting stuff. But throughout the rest of the week, we're going to be releasing another video. I don't know if everybody saw part 1 of the video we released the other day, a little 30 for 30 on Save La Salle Baseball. But part 2 will be coming out hopefully this weekend. But after that, we're just going to continue to create publicity, really highlight some of the current players, some of the former players, and why La Salle means so much to them. I think that's a big piece of all this because, again, La Salle is not just a school. It's not just a program. This is really, it's part of our lives, part of our identity. So really want to highlight that. So stay on the lookout for that. But yeah, so we're gonna be working hard behind the scenes. So if you don't hear from me for a few days, you know where I am. I'm heads down on my computer trying to make some good stuff happen for the school. But yeah, you can help out. I'm gonna put up a graphic on the screen right now. So you can go to Instagram and follow Save La Salle Baseball. You can follow myself on Twitter. I'm kind of posting all the stuff on my personal Twitter for the Save La Salle Baseball campaign. We have a GoFundMe available right now. It's bit.ly/LSU base GoFundMe. You can also search that on Google. And we also have a mailing list that we're going to keep everybody that's interested in the cause up to date with all the different things that we have going on. So a lot of exciting stuff, like I said, the next few days, the next few weeks. And everybody that has helped thus far, I really can't express how much I appreciate that. And all the parents and the players, anybody else watching this, they feel the same way. So thank you from the bottom of my heart. It's been, again, a whirlwind of a week, but the opportunity to have this chance and to bring this publicity to a school and a program that probably just needs it it's been a lot of fun, and I think this is only the beginning of what we can do. So,
well, look, once again, I just want to say, go follow Save La Salle Baseball on Instagram. Follow James at James Santore on Twitter. You'll learn about their GoFundMe campaign. Get on the mailing list. Learn about all the things that James and his guys are doing. This is incredible for what he's doing for La Salle, not only La Salle Baseball, as we talked about, the whole program, and just the university in general. I mean, this is something special. And I'm just so proud that, James, you're part of us at 76 Capital. You're doing these things to truly try to make the world a better place. And this is I'm thrilled for you and what you're doing, and I hope that this is something this turns out to be super successful for everyone.
Oh, there we go.
And I hope that this reaches so many other alums of other schools who are going through the same devastation right now. And I hope it becomes something that it's a great message for other alums who want to do something. Get a plan together and figure it out and try to figure out how to connect with the administration and join and be partners rather than adversaries and get something done. And I also want to know, is Dave Portnoy going to be the class of 2021 graduation speaker?
Cannot confirm nor deny, but we'll see.
Well, we've certainly talked a lot about Barstool on this show. When you talk to Dave, he should be one of our sponsors of our 76 Capital Leadership Series. If he really wants to, no, I'm kidding. He should put all of his efforts in helping La Salle and helping the athletic program there. I think it's really incredible James, what you've done to rally together the alums, the parents, the current players on the team. I wish you a ton of luck. Courtney, thank you so much for joining our 76 Capital Leadership Series as an alum, also at La Salle, and also someone who's really leading the charge in the whole name, image, and likeness side of things within college sports right now. And truly, we have a gem in Courtney and her team at TeamAltemus here in Philadelphia. They are all across the country, leaders in all things that are happening within the collegiate ranks. So if you are out there, if you're listening and you really want to speak to someone who knows their stuff around what's going on within the college sports world, call Courtney, talk to TeamAltemus, talk to Rashad. These are people that truly know what's happening, and they can help you with whatever issues or opportunities that you have. So James, again, best of luck with everything. Courtney, thank you so much. And you can follow Courtney on her Instagram at Courtney.Altemus, on Twitter at TeamAltemus. And, let's try to save La Salle baseball, right? I mean, that's what we've been doing here. James, thanks so much. Here are all of James' places again. Save La Salle Baseball on Instagram, on Twitter at James Santore, at Save La Salle Baseball everywhere. That's what you got to do. So to wrap this thing up, James, you have something else you want to say?
Yeah, just want to say thank you again to everybody that's helped out. And I just want to make sure people know that it's not just me doing this. There's a lot of people going on behind the scenes. Fortunately for me, I was just the person that put out the tweet. I got lucky with that. But there's so many people helping out here. And again, really grateful for all that help. And if anybody out there does want to help support the cause in any way, please feel free to reach out to me on any of those platforms. And we'd love to talk and find out ways we can make this happen.
All right. Well, that's what it's all about. It's all about trying to make this world a better place and doing big things. James, thank you so much. Courtney, thank you so much. It's been a great edition of our 76 Capital Leadership Series. I'm your host, Wayne Kimmel, and it's been awesome hosting James and Courtney tonight. And you can follow all the things that we do at 76 Capital across all our social media networks, as well as on our and subscribe to our podcasts as well. So again, at 76 Capital, I'm at Wayne Kimmel. Our podcasts are on Spotify, on Apple, everywhere you find your podcasts. Subscribe on our YouTube channel to watch our video shows. And you'll see some really great shows, great guests, whether it's the entrepreneurs, it's the people who are trying to do good things like what James and Courtney are doing within the college world right now. I mean, this is just what it's all about. Super excited to have had this show, so fired up. Again, thanks, everybody, and let's save La Salle baseball. Have a great night.
Thank you so much.